Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Or if you're just joining us based on today's topic, welcome. This is our Simple Abundance year, and we are following along in Sarah Breathnach's book, Simple Abundance. She originally wrote her first book, Simple Abundance, a Daybook of Comfort and Joy, back in the 90s, and then she's rewritten Simple Abundance at the end of 2019, and we're following along with it. It's a 365-day journey of finding more balance and joy in life, and this channel is dedicated to the principles from it, which are joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. And I come on here and I talk about various entries in the book because there's an entry for each day. Today is March 24th, 2020, and this project's happening throughout the year of 2020. And right now, we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's really thrown everybody for a loop. I'm not actually going to talk about today's entry, which is about soothing the blues. I think 2 weeks ago, I said a lot about it anyway, and we've already talked about the comfort drawer and the self-care first aid kit. And 2 weeks ago, I may have talked about it, but now in the middle of what's going on, I wanted to talk about something different, but related to the principles. I think that you'll like this. One of the principles is order, right? And if you're already someone that thrives on order, I have a feeling that this whole new experience that we're having right now has thrown you for a loop, because it certainly has for me, because I'm so scheduled, maybe overly scheduled, because I had shared with you guys just a few weeks ago that I was finding difficulty even having time to make some of the videos, and then also just not having time off because I work really hard. I own a business, and then I also was working part-time up until beginning of last week. So it's a whole new experience for me. As someone who has worked from home, I'm in my 7th year of working from home, I am lucky that I'm really organized and task focused. So I have usually stayed really well on task and gotten a lot of things done. But this is different for me because I don't usually have this much time at home. Yes, I work from home, but a lot of times I'm out meeting with clients, or I'm doing other duties like visits that I need to make. I'm making other connections in the community. I have a post office box, and the bank and everything is a certain distance away, so I might be going down there and handling some banking or postal stuff. So it's actually, when I really add up the amount of office time, like really sitting at my desk, there might be one full day a week, and then the other times are like little 4-hour spurts. But you know what they say, when you want something done, give it to a busy person, because when you're busy, a lot of times you're even more focused and you're like, oh, I've got to get this done. And last week when everything just went out the window and my schedule was all different, I found that, and plus, being so distracted by social media and the regular media right now, I found that at the end of the day, I would think to myself, I really only got 3 things done today, so it was very, very different for me. Because also in scheduling my part-time shifts, what that does is it's like, usually I would get up in the morning, do a little bit of my business work, go in for a shift at my part-time job, come back and finish up the day and answer anything that came in while I was away from my desk. And then a lot of times, like Friday night is a time that I really have always enjoyed being at my desk and getting a lot of things done, because the nature of my work, and I control a lot of it, so I can do things after hours, and I'm a night owl too, so there are some times that I'll make up the time and work late at night. And now on a Friday, clients are not calling me, there's not emails coming in, and then we're not normally in the middle of a national crisis, so I'm not paying attention to things. And I already told you guys how disconnected I really am from the news, first of all, but then Also, not having a smart device that's with me all the time. I'm lucky if my phone, if I'm even, well, with my business phone, I do pay attention to it. But in general, I'm just so disconnected that I'm not really like hearing noises like notifications. I've mentioned I don't usually have those on. If I'm home and I have wireless, I do have a device that is plugged in all the time and puts off little noises so I can tell if somebody in my family is messaging me or something. But nothing's usually super urgent, so if I'm in the middle of something, I will think, oh, I've got to get back to that person, and then I'll look at it maybe when I'm free. Now it's a little different because it's like moment to moment with the news. You hear somebody's message you, and it's like, oh no, what's new, you know. So anyway, I decided that I really needed to come up with a new plan for being at home, and maybe this will help you guys, especially if you're not used to being home. Now, I can't speak to the moms out there that also have the kids. I only have little Annabelle, my kitty, really, and she's so used to me being around anyway. She's not a bother, but I don't know how you guys are balancing the kids at home. I will say my sister has 2 teenagers, high schoolers, that are home, and she really inspired me because I spoke to them yesterday, and they had just decided, like, they basically had like a week of chaos and kids sleeping in and just not doing anything productive. And so they were like, we're getting on a schedule. And so that's really also what went off in my head. Like, that is the problem. I've got to get back on my schedule. I just wanted to show you, this is like from last year, a typical week. See, this is a week for me. I you know, that might freak you out, but I just love my stickers, and so if I have appointments or things like that, I put them into blocks because I'm really into like a block schedule sort of thing. So that's my typical week. So you can tell what I'm used to. But it doesn't overwhelm me because everything has its own place. So my sister was talking about how they just put this schedule up on the fridge, and it even broke it down into like, this is when we're breaking for lunch. And I didn't ask her specifically, but I'm assuming like the kids had to give over their devices during the schoolwork time because the teachers now have sent some homework for them to work on. And I thought, all right, last night I thought, I'm gonna sit down and I've got to make a schedule for myself also. Because I was talking to some other friends too that said, just like me, some of them already work from home to begin with. And then like the nighttime is their schedule time. I mean, their social time, sorry. So there's a need for that socialization as well, right? So I mentioned that earlier this week, a friend of mine organized a Zoom brunch, and we're actually going to do that again this week as well. So hopefully you have some opportunities like that right now to virtually connect with people if you can. So a couple things. I'm all over the place here, but as I thought about my own schedule, it was not just totally task related, because I have always at all times, you know, I mentioned that my planner is a Franklin planner, which is Franklin Covey if you look it up. But so this is again like another example of my to-do list. When you get a Franklin planner, it has a page with a task list. I have changed it a little bit. I have it split into 2 sections. One is business and one is personal. I can't remember if I mentioned this to you guys when I just briefly showed you my planner at the beginning of the year with the Simple Abundance little colorful monthly simplicities sheet that I made. But so because I am working for myself, and also even if you work for someone else, it's easy for your to-do list to get blended. And for me, I found it much better to have it separated, because otherwise it's like, what's going to take precedent? Usually the business, right? Especially if you work for yourself. Like it's interesting when you do work for yourself at home to somehow separate it. And for those of you that are experiencing this for the first time, I really hope that you have a place in your house that can be devoted to be the workspace, and then that you can actually shut down and leave at the end of the day like you are used to doing. That is such a foreign experience for me right now because I have to make those decisions myself. I'm not, there isn't an employer there aside from the part-time situation where I clock in and out. But for my own work at home, I have always had a separate office space. So right now, I showed you guys my office. I did a tour of it, and I can actually close that door if I want to. So it's like, and that's actually in the front of my house, and then the back of my house is where my kitchen and my bedroom and everything else is. So it really does sort of separate my work and home. And I hope that you're able to do something like that even now, if this is a different situation for you, that it can be like, all right, this is my work area and this is my home area. Maybe everyone's not in that situation, and hopefully this is a short-term thing for you, those of you that are telecommuting right now. Or maybe you love it and then now you want to always work from home. I don't know. I love working from home because I love being able to watch the birds and have my own schedule. So back to what I was saying. So I already have these things in place. Like I have a weekly view of the whole week, and then I have my task lists, and then I check off things when I'm done, and then say I have my task list, then I'm scheduling those things into the week already. So I'm still continuing to do that. That did not fall by the wayside. I definitely still went through my to-do list last week. But what I needed to give my days right now were a bit more structure and a bit more of, this is what I need to do every day. There was a thing on Facebook, and I just wanted to share it. I will attribute it to the page. It came from, his name is Matthew Reynolds, and it was shared by a few people. And it was something for daily quarantine questions. Okay, so this is kind of what I sat down last night for myself and did similar to this. And it's almost like this person read Sarah's book because it's very well tied in. Number one, what am I grateful for today? Hopefully every day you're doing your gratitude exercises already that we've talked about before. Number two, who am I checking in on or connecting with today? Number three, what expectations of, quote, normal am I letting go of today? That's a good question, right? 4, how am I getting outside today? 5, how am I moving my body today? And 6, what beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? That's one of Sarah's principles as well. Beauty, right? So I sat down and made my own sort of list around that. And one of them, these are things that I wanted to make sure that right now in this new schedule that I'm putting together that I am doing. So I did like the move my body because I've been needing to do that anyway, and I just have not been making time for it. And now I have no excuse because there's a lot more time. Obviously, I need to schedule my work time, and people are telling me right now that they're just binge watching shows and stuff, and I do have to say I haven't done any of that. Like, in fact, the day seems to be over so quickly for me right now that I am lucky if I'm just putting on like a little YouTube video or something at the end of the day. But why did I say that? It's because I wrote down that I wanted to watch or learn something new and interesting. So I sat down also in my journal, and there are things like, your friends send you links to things and you just never get a chance to watch them. Or there's been a few documentaries on Netflix that really interest me, and I made a list of at least 6 things so that I could have something for the next couple of days where I'm going to take a break. And maybe it doesn't have to be at the end of the day. It might be like right after I finish filming this, where I'm going to sit and watch something from that list, something that is interesting. Like, how I mentioned that I've always just been really drawn to the Egyptian culture. There's a thing that keeps coming up on my YouTube. It's about the lost Egyptian princesses, or I don't know if they were empresses, but I put that on. So I'm going to watch that, and it's only an hour. So it'll be like a nice little like afternoon thing, sit down with Annabelle and take a break. And maybe you're not in that situation if you are in a telecommuting situation. Maybe those are something that you do at night. But that's my third thing. I also liked the connect with someone, and I've been really good about that. I've been making sure that every day I'm having a verbal conversation, sometimes through FaceTime too. And even like that Zoom app that I mentioned is really great because you could do multiple people with that. I think you can FaceTime with multiple people too, but I just have an iPod, so I don't think I have the newest operating system, and I don't know that I can do that, but you might be able to do that. So I'm making sure that I have that scheduled in, that I'm going to have a phone call with someone. And then getting fresh air, really like that too. We did have some snow yesterday, but even like going out today, I haven't gone outside yet, but going out and maybe like just cleaning off my car or something just to get the fresh air. I also wrote to start my car every day because I haven't driven it in over a week, so I just want to make sure that it always is getting the engine going a little bit. Take medications that may or may not apply to you, but what I was finding was that my schedule was so thrown off that usually I know what time it is, and so anyway, I ended up setting a reminder in a device so it makes a little noise to remind me, because it was yesterday and it was already 5 o'clock and I hadn't taken something I was supposed to take at noon. So that was a wake-up call. So I did make a little reminder to take my medicine and limit screen time more. You know how I just told you that I'm so used to just not being on, like, connected 24/7? Now that I'm home most of the time, then I've got like Facebook open on one computer, and then the other computer's got YouTube open, and it's too much. Like, this is why I told you I don't have a smartphone to begin with, because it's overwhelming to me. And so how am I limiting that? I decided that I wasn't going to have those things open in the background, and that I was going to take various scheduled breaks throughout the day to check in on those things. I think that's a great practice to begin with anyway for anybody. And also I did write down that I could turn off my notifications if I wanted, but I don't have that many anyway. So, and the last thing I wrote down was rise and go to bed at the same time each day. So because it's, especially if you're right now, say you're unemployed and this is like, what am I doing with my life and everything? It's very easy for depression to take over, but having that, okay, I'm going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time. I'm not going to sleep until noon. I did a little bit of that last week where it was like catching up on sleep I hadn't had in months, but I'm over that now. I'm like, okay, it's time for bed and it's time to get up, and the alarm is set and everything. And I didn't put things on here that I always do. Like in the morning, I always do wake up and I do a Louise Hay morning meditation before I get out of bed. So that's going to continue. So these are additional things that I just wanted to make sure that I'm now implementing. So how's it going? It's about 4 o'clock right now on my first day, and what a huge difference. I feel like I'm putting myself back together a little bit, because it was just such a frazzled experience last week of everything just unraveling, and I just kind of lost my whole structure. And for me, like Sarah has, order is one of the principles. For me, order is something that I thrive on. So I had my day set out today, and I did make little blocks of time for the various things. There were 3 important things that I needed to get done, and I have blocked them out. And then another thing I've been doing, because I mentioned that it's kind of rare for me, maybe once a week, that I'd be home for the whole day at my desk. But I've been making sure that I'm getting up and walking around just a little bit each hour to just kind of get the blood pumping, and because otherwise I notice my feet, I don't think I have awesome circulation. My feet get cold. Sometimes I feel like my leg muscles kind of cramp up a little bit. Also scheduling in lunch and making sure that I'm actually like coming out and I ate it here on the counter. Of course, I was still listening to an audiobook. Like I always seem to have some kind of noise in the background. I should probably have more silence. And one thing I did this morning too, because I just loved the idea of the schedule of my sister and the kids. I said, is there any way, I said this yesterday, is there any way that I can be a part of your schedule tomorrow? And I said, how about like if I do some movement and stretching and stuff with you guys? And so they got me on the schedule this morning. It was kind of like a PE class. And I actually, you know, this is 20 years ago, but I was an aerobics instructor back when it was first new, like step aerobics and everything. That was also like 60 pounds ago. But anyway, I was a fitness queen for a while. And so I still actually, it was like coming right back to me, like as I was going like, all right, step, touch, you know, and I was giving them the transitions and everything. It was like I never stopped teaching aerobics. So that was a part of me, like getting my own movement in. That was one of my goals, right? And then getting to see the kids. And it was, you know, my brother-in-law said to me, he was like, be prepared for mixed reactions, you know, because they're not thrilled with what's going on and they want to be with their friends and everything. But actually it went really well. They were smiling and we were all kind of laughing a little bit. And then after it was over, I think I could have actually done a little bit longer because my brother-in-law said to plan for like 20, 25 minutes. I think I could have gone another 5 minutes with them because they didn't seem like they were wanting it to be over. Of course, who knows what their next subject was after that, I don't know. But so I wrote my brother-in-law and I said, hey, I think that went well. They didn't seem to hate it. And he said, oh yeah, they really enjoyed it and they were laughing and smiling. And so anyway, maybe there's something fun like that you can do to FaceTime in, even with a friend if you're trying to stay a little bit more active, or maybe it's like talking about this book or another book or something like that. So anyway, I wonder how you might be bringing some order to your day. I know this whole experience has just thrown us all for a loop. And it's hard to know how long it's going to be like this. But I am taking a little bit of comfort in getting a schedule together and taking the time to say, I actually didn't schedule this, but it's like, maybe I need to schedule some time to just sit and watch the birds. Like I mentioned to you how much I love that. And in the snow, they were really so active yesterday, but I was just sort of peeking at them out the window. But maybe it's like, make some tea and sit and watch the birds, even if it's 20 minutes. You know, once you start to schedule these things, you will realize how much actual more time you have. Because if you took stock right now, probably of how much time you're spending on each thing, like Facebook could be like this circle of rabbit hole, you know, that you just kind of you just get drawn in and you just kept checking to see if there's notifications. And I don't like that when I get like that. That's why I don't live like that. And so I did it for a few days and it's like, I'm over it. I am back to being scheduled. And I haven't made the official schedule for tomorrow, but I will be looking to incorporate some of the things like connecting with somebody verbally beyond just my YouTube channel, but actually like a two-way conversation and learning something new. I'm actually excited about that list I made. Like, think about what you could be doing right now with some of these things. Like, I don't remember if I said this on a video or if I just said this to a friend recently, but it's like, you could probably learn a new language right now. You could probably be taking online classes at a college if they're actually open. Get a degree or a certificate or something like that if you have time and the means right now to do that. I know it's kind of like in the middle of the semester, so that might not be realistic, but think about the way that you can use your mind, because I felt like there are a lot of subjects that I'm interested in. Remember I mentioned to you guys that I always wished that I knew the stars a little bit more? Well, I looked to see, and there's actually a YouTube series, Our Planet, I think it's called. I think that's what it's called. No, it might not be, because that sounds like another nature thing that I watch. But no, Our Universe. That's the one now about the constellations and stuff. So I'm gonna watch it. And I don't know if I'll be an expert on them, but I'll still enjoy it. So I started to think about what are some of the topics that I might want to seek out a YouTube video or a documentary or something educational. There's so much at our fingertips. We're so lucky. We are so lucky. I can't imagine, you know, even 20 years ago, it would be totally different to be home. Maybe that was the beginning of the internet, but it would never have been able to sustain as much as it is now. And we certainly didn't have streaming things. I just want to read another thing that I have that somebody posted on Facebook, just to give you guys a message of hope today. I feel like I'm in a much better place of hope than I was even last night. I keep going up and down where I'm like, in one moment I can be like yesterday's video, I felt like very peaceful, I'm in the moment and everything, and then like 6 hours later I'm going like, what is going on, like, and kind of going over all the worst case scenarios. So I'm trying to get a better balance, but I really loved this, and I will attribute it at the end, but it just says, we are going to be okay. In the end, this will be a learning experience. You'll understand why your great-grandparents who went through the Great Depression were so frugal, why stuff isn't as important as emergency savings and having no debt, why the current animal agriculture system is not sustainable, why we should be more kind and compassionate, why we must elect officials who care about the health and well-being of its nation, why science is more important than your opinions, why life is fragile and should be appreciated, why it's the little things that make you happy that are important. Most importantly, why we need to look out for each other. And that was posted, her name is Macy Paradise. It's just something that someone shared. I don't know if that's a celebrity or a page that has a big following or not, but that was nice to hear. Not unlike yesterday, which was your very best at being yourself was good enough. It is really nice to hear someone say, it's going to be okay. Do you remember those feelings when you were a kid of hopefully a parent or someone that you really looked up to and felt protected by, of them saying, it's going to be okay? It's hard when you get to be older and you don't necessarily have somebody saying that to you. I think about when I was scared one time when I was really little, and I don't know if I saw a movie or something that scared me that someone was going to break into my house. And I remember my dad just sitting on the edge of my bed and saying, nobody's going to get in. I'm here. I'm going to protect you. You're safe, you know? And I held on to that. I really needed to hear that, and I believed him. And I know he meant it, but fortunately that never happened and he didn't have to protect me. But there was something just like that, everything's going to be okay feeling in that moment. And I wonder if you can think back to some of those feelings that maybe even you gave to your own children when they were younger. I hope no matter where you are on this whole spectrum of things, because like I said, it can change moment to moment for me. Right now I'm in an okay place, but I hope no matter where you are, that you can hold on to the thought that we are going to be okay. And I hope also that today's video about order and scheduling was helpful for you. I think I said everything I wanted to say. Hopefully I didn't freak you out with my whole planner system. Franklin Planner, that's what it is. I'll put a link in the box below, but it is a system that I've had for at least 20 years, and there's tabs with various things, and there's all kinds of worksheets. Like if you're if you have a project that you're doing, it helps you break those things down into projects. It helps you goal set. I just find these things really motivated, and it's the way that I've always felt comfort in keeping on top of my own stress level, because when I feel like there's time for things, then I'm not a last minute person and I've planned ahead. And so it gives me like a peace, even if I have a lot to do, because I think I showed you that one week. It's like usually my to-do list on both sides, personal and professional, is like almost the entire sheet. But I get it done, and I love that feeling of checking things off. And even if I was like, oh, I did that and it wasn't on my list, sometimes I'll write it and give myself a check, because there's some sort of a satisfaction of accomplishment in that respect as well. So let me know how you're doing. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you got something out of this, and maybe you'll share in the comments how you're staying organized. And I know this is a different setup for a lot of people, but anything we can do to bring peace and calm and a sense of normalcy in this, you know, like that one that said, what can you give up as a sense of normalcy? You know, anything we can do to try to keep a sense of normalcy is really great right now. Stay well, stay connected. I will see you on the next video, and thanks so much for being here. Bye-bye.